Hey, what's going on, guys? PLUM's 5-inch mecha series continues here with the latest out in the line from Power Dolls 2. This is the new power loader, the 148 scale X-4+C PDF-C701. Basically what we have here with this one, once again, is another version of the power loader with a little bit different equipment on it and a little bit different weaponry in it and some really cool box art there. But in today's video, we're also going to be taking a look at a couple of the option sets that have come out for this. So number one here is the flight unit set here for that. And then the second one, set B, is some additional weaponry. So basically very similar to like what we saw with the larger 1/35 scale kit, and these weapon sets basically exactly like this came out in boxed form, but as you can see, these are just kind of in bags, which is interesting. But we'll be taking a look at all this for today's video. Let's go ahead and get into it. So starting off with the main kit here first, like I said, some really cool painted style box art here on the front, or a painted artwork here for the box art, I guess we could say, but it's featuring a few of the units right there that you can see on the front, all very cool. On the ends of the box, we got the same thing here, and a pretty standard size what we've seen with this line so far in terms of the box thickness. Over here on this side of the box, you can see some of the new equipment highlighted, the weapons, new weapons there, a new Gatling gun, a new shotgun kind of style weapon there, new parts for the size of the legs, which are new with this version, new shoulder parts up there. We still have the attachment points for attaching the flight unit, which we'll take a look at in today's video, and then highlighting the articulation of the legs, for example. We got some text over here around on the other side of the box, a look at the kit fully built, at least this is the render of the kit, front and back, and then the MSRP over here for this one at 4,500 yen. Let's go ahead and crack open the box. So obviously most of the parts here we've seen before. There will be some additional new parts in there, of course, but we'll take a look through all the runners in just a moment. First of all, for the instruction manual, we've got the same box art there on the front, and the construction just going to continue all the way around. We do have some more color information here on the inside with images of the kit, stats, information about the Power Dolls 2 game. We got some cool line art and stats on the machine down there, and again, just kind of more renders, details of the kit. On the inside is going to be in black and white here, and you can see some X'd out leftover parts that are not going to be used, and then we've got all of the construction. These kits are very much similar to like an entry grade, sort of bordering on like high grade maybe in terms of the complexity, so we don't have a ton of parts. Let's go ahead and check out the runners here. Runners A and B here are going to be some of our main off-white, very light gray colored armor pieces right there. Runner C is getting into some of the internal pieces, joint pieces, hand pieces, and then some of the larger parts there for the Gatling gun, it looks like, over to the one side here in a nice medium warm gray color. Runner D we have to it for some more white pieces. This is including some new parts there you can see for the shoulder equipment. Runner E, some more gray pieces for mostly joints and things, it looks like, some parts there for the feet as well. We've got two of these. Runner G is just this one little green part there for the eye visor. Runner H is a few more pieces here in gray. Runner K is a couple of pieces here in this light yellowish tan kind of color. Runner M, a few more pieces here. Looks like mostly the new parts for the legs here in that off-white. And then lastly, runners N and O, runner N being a few pieces here in blue, O being a few pieces here in the kind of teal blue there for the new weapon, and that's it. All right, so as for option set A here, as you can see, this comes with the flight unit, these kind of wing parts, and then two different weapons included in here as well for set A. On the backside, we do have a couple of more example images right there, and our MSRP for this set at 1,700 yen. Considering that's similar in price to like a lot of high-grade Gundam kits, it is a little bit expensive as far as just an option set goes, but obviously PLUM is a much smaller operation compared to Bandai, so they're not operating at anywhere near the same kind of capacity as a company like Bandai or even Kotobuki are at. So here we've got our parts list. It looks like we've got 3 runners included, and our instructions are printed here on the back side of that paper. Pretty simple. For the runners here, it looks like it's going to consist of 2 of this C runner, which are in off-white, like the parts there for the flight units. The B runner, which is going to be some weapons parts there, very nicely detailed as you can see, but it looks like we're probably going to have some serious seam lines there. And then the A runner is some more parts here in gray. I think these are for the gray mechanical bits for the flight unit, and that's it for this set. As for set B, like I said, just like with the 1/35 scale version, this one comes with some new shoulder equipment as well as some new weapons here. So here you can see single images here of the 120mm cannon there on the shoulder, these which I believe are missile pods up here on the opposite shoulder, and then a couple of other weapons here, an SMG and a grenade launcher there for the included weaponry. Once again, on the back side, some sample images here kind of showing it fully loaded with the both the A and B sets added on there, it looks like, for these, because you can see that it has the flight unit on there, and the MSRP is the same for this set, 1,700 yen. In here, probably going to be basically the same in terms of the contents for this set. Once again, we have our parts list and instructions here on the back side of that paper. And then only 2 runners here is the A runner, which is all of our off-white parts there, as you can see. And then the B runner is all of our gray parts for the new weaponry, and then some parts for, I think, inside the shoulder armor, inside the shoulder equipment there, it looks like. So, okay, let me get everything all built up and we'll take a look at the kit. All right, guys, here is our power doll all built up, and with its weapons here. We'll take a closer look at the weapons and accessories here for this particular set, and then we'll take a look at the other option sets with this as well. But it's a really cool kit once again, and has all of the really nice aspects of the previous releases in this 5-inch mecha line, but with some really cool new parts on here. So it's got some new parts there on the shoulders, on the legs, and of course the new weapons there as well. So it's nice that it's not just only new accessories, but we have new parts for the main body also, which is really cool. And again, like we've seen with this line, and as you guys will see here throughout the rest of the video, some really nice details, some really nice articulation in here, and it just makes for a really fun kit of a very cool and unique design. As far as any accessories or option parts here, we do have a handful of leftover parts in the box, not really too much that you can really do with. Some of the parts of the original shoulder armor, etc., from the original kit, but basically we just have the 2 weapons, which you can see there. No other hand parts other than these holding hands. Really would have been nice to maybe have some just regular closed fists or open expressive hands, something else other than that. Really, the kind of only accessory we have is this little kind of part separator. This is literally just a little plastic part separator piece that you can use if you need to take the kit apart later. You can also, as it shows in the menu, use the opposite end of this to pop out these parts in the back. Now that also requires you to deconstruct the part of the torso here, and in order to get those parts out to put the flight pack in the backpack, you can just push them out from the inside, and that's a little bit kind of an unproductive way to go about it, I feel like, but that's what this tool is shown to be used for. But let's take a close look here at our included weapons. So I do really like the 2-tone color here with this one. The gray and blue combination is really quite nice, quite unique. Just the weapon design itself is also really nice, very cool design. And you will notice, however, there is going to be seam lines running down the top and bottom of this, so you are going to want to remove those. This one here on the top would be a very easy one to get rid of. That said, you are going to have to think about how to modify these parts if you do want to paint them separately, so that this bottom gray part could then be inserted up into this one, although I don't think it would be that terribly difficult to sort that out. As far as the Gatling gun here on the other side, also again a really cool design. Let me just pop this off of the kit here so we can get a better look at it, just with keeping the hand on the handle there. On the underside, it's kind of a weird design how it has like this kind of empty space here with this little cylindrical part there sticking out of the bottom. I do really like the design of these cylinder parts. I don't know exactly what those are meant to be, but they do look cool. On the bottom, though, it does look a little bit kind of odd. And you'll notice these 2 that are here on the back sides do have hollow gaps inside there. And of course, we do have a seam line down the top of this weapon here as well. But again, a lot of really nice detail on there. Very cool design. It's all in one color, but I think you could definitely paint this up and just mask and paint up some of the different parts of this in some different colors if you wanted to add a bit more color to it, but there's plenty of detail there to bring out in painting it. Now, none of the other new parts of armor around in the body actually do anything other than just being a different design. Like here, these much larger shoulder armor pieces here are just a larger shoulder armor. There's not really anything else that they do. Up on the top of the upper arm, there's an additional piece added up in there as well, also to make some more armor up inside there. And then here on the sides of the thighs, these parts, actually around to the back and front of the thigh, all of this thigh armor is all slightly different. Here we have a little bit different design with this part here sticking out to the side. Also, it's pretty cool. So a very interesting design here. And also down on the lower legs, these inner pieces are what's typically mirrored on the inside and outside, but now the legs are asymmetrical with these additional parts added onto the outside of the lower legs right there. The rest of the feet and everything is going to be the same. The articulation also going to be the same. As I've talked about in previous reviews of this kit, the articulation is really quite nice. So why don't we take a look at a couple of different poses with this. So just taking a look at a few poses here before we move on to the option sets. A really cool kit once again. If you've already got one of the 2 previously released versions, Is there really a whole lot of incentive to get this one? I would say yeah, because the new weapons are awesome and then you have new parts for the body. Now that said, if you don't have any of these kits yet and you're wondering which one to go for, I would say this one is a really good candidate for if you really only wanted to get one, because like I said, the weapons that are included with this one I think are probably the most cool looking, to be completely subjective anyway, but then also the new armor parts are really cool on there as well. But of course, if you did want the just original look of the power loader, then just either one of the two previously released versions would be really quite nice as well. And while the articulation is pretty nice, I mean, just by design, these aren't really going to be necessarily doing like super acrobatic poses or anything like that. The articulation is definitely a whole lot better on these 5-inch mecha versions compared to the original 1/35th scale version. So that's definitely a plus. If articulation is something you care about, getting this version of the kit is definitely the way to go over the larger version, but the larger version obviously is nice because it's larger. All right, option set A, here we go. We've got our flight pack units. Now these are going to be exactly the same. They're not different for the left and the right side, so we'll see those just a second. And not only one, but our two more handheld weapon options here. I'm not exactly sure what these weapons are. This looks like probably some sort of maybe shotgun, I want to say, although not entirely clear on that. They're just cool looking weapons, that's all I gotta say about these. And then this one here as well. Now these are going to be very simple in their construction. You are going to have seam lines on these here as well, but again, just really cool designs. If you're wondering, hey, could I use that with my HG or 1/44 scale Gunpla? I was wondering that too. So let's see, I think scale wise they would work pretty well, and I was actually just curious, is it actually going to fit into the hand? And it turns out yes, it does. So actually the hand, and I mean, not all 1/44 scale Gunpla kits have the same size hole in the hand, but at least for the entry grade strike here, it's a perfect fit for these weapons to actually work really, really well with your Gunpla. So there you go. As for the flight pack parts, these are going to be relatively simple. You have a moving part right here that's just going to allow these to move up and down, but some nice detail. And again, you are going to have some seam lines down the length of this long white part there like that. And as I mentioned, you're just going to need to remove these caps out of the back there in order to plug the flight unit parts into the back of there. So let me go ahead and do that. Right there with the flight pack, as I keep calling it, angel wings, what it should be called anyway, with the angel wings attached. There it is, and with those cool new weapons, does obviously give you some really nice options. Now, as I was saying, I think back in the first review of the 5-inch mecha series that there's 2 units featured on the box art, and I was saying that it really would have been cool if they would have actually put 2 kits in the box. I think that obviously that would have made the set more expensive, but people would definitely go for it. And the fact that we get so many different weapon options, I think every single one of these kits has come with 2 different handheld weapon options. I'm the kind of person that normally doesn't really like to go for dual wielding 2 different weapons, even though that is pretty common, it seems, in this series. Just for me, I like to usually just kind of stick like with 1 weapon per unit. And so with these kits, for me, I'm tempted to want to get multiples of them just so that I can have with them with all the different weapons and not be doubling up weapons per unit, if you get what I mean. So I do kind of hope that maybe someday they'll release just a slightly cheaper version that maybe doesn't come with any weapons or something, just to be able to get more of just the standard base units. I don't know. Anyway, just remember that I have no experience with the source material, so maybe it just doesn't make sense to have like a bunch of different units. Maybe it's not a mass production unit at all. I really don't know, not being familiar with the game. I just like the mecha designs. Anyway, here is option set B. And so once again, we have our shoulder equipment and 2 different weapons here. These weapons, once again, both having a really cool design, very simple construction, basically just being 2 parts put together there for this one, but a really cool design. It's a smaller one and then a bit larger one, a bit more elaborate design for this one here too. So again, I don't really know what all of these weapons are or what they're meant to do, but they certainly look very cool. And then for the shoulder equipment, the missile pods for the one side here, these aren't really necessarily going to do anything, but you do have some very thin, like kind of antenna little bits on here you are going to want to be careful with. Just be sure not to accidentally break those. And then for the opposite side, the cannon part. Now this one does actually move. The missile pods don't really move or do anything. This one is the only thing that is an actual sort of like moving part, and just that you can rotate that to actually be firing when it's connected onto the shoulder there. So one thing that I unfortunately failed to think about before now is that this new shoulder equipment here from set B is not actually going to work with this latest version of the kit. So I had to pull out my version here of the original kit, that being the X4 PDF-C701 model, and you'll need this version as this is what the shoulder equipment is made to go onto. So anyway, that's just what we're going to be seeing here. Taking a look at a couple poses here with this last set B, and that's going to do it for this this video, guys, but as you can see here, some really cool stuff to be coming out in this 5-inch mecha line from PLUM. There is the 1/35th scale of all this stuff. I believe the same option sets feature the same weapons and everything in 1/35th scale, and those are available. You can find them, and I have shown them here on the channel before. You can go back and check out those videos. But I do really like the 5-inch mecha versions, just them being smaller and a lot more akin to like an HG. You have better articulation with these kits, which is nice. Now you have a good amount of seam lines and stuff in that on like the main kit and the weapons as well, but honestly you had that with the larger kits as well. The 1/35th scale versions have a bunch of seam lines on them also, and less articulation. So I mean, there's pros and cons, but I think these kits are really nice, so cool to see them. Going forward, I don't know what else PLUM might have in store as far as future releases, but if there's anything else that you guys think would be cool for them to come out with in this line, I'm anxious to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think would be a cool release? I know there's a black version of this that they made actually in the 1/35th scale version that I don't know if it was ever reprinted or not, but it would be cool to see that black version come out in the 5-inch mecha line here as well. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. If you want to check out some more of these kits for yourself, check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. We've got some of these sets and plenty more awesome mecha model kits there for you guys to check out, so check out that link. And as always, guys, thank you so much for all of your support, whether it be leaving a like, making sure that you're subscribed. It all helps out a great deal, so thank you guys so much. Till next time, have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.